Building credit is a crucial step in your personal finance journey because it can open the door for many opportunities in the future and facilitate your life a whole lot. That's why in this video, I'm gonna go over everything you must know about building your credit. So make sure to watch this whole video so that you guys don't miss out on the fine details. So without further ado, my name's Thiago. Let's get into this video. In order to understand how to build your credit score, you must first understand what credit is. Credit, in a nutshell, is how reliable you are at paying debt back to the bank. And in order to measure this, you are issued a credit score, which usually ranges from 300 to 850. Let's take a look at the range to really understand what that means. 300 to 579 is poor credit. 580 to 699 is fair credit. 670 to 739 is good credit. And 740 and over is excellent credit. These are not set in stone, but these score ranges are a good reference point. Your credit score is tracked and measured by 3 bureaus, which are Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. All 3 credit bureaus issue you a credit score, so you have 3 scores in total and not just one. Also, all of these bureaus differ slightly on what impacts your credit, but overall, they usually track the same thing. To track your credit score, you can usually request your score from each one of these bureaus. This is usually the most accurate way of tracking your credit. You can also track your credit score by using an app like Credit Karma. This is usually the way I go because it's easy to use, it has a great interface, and the scores are usually pretty close. Now, one thing to keep in mind when building your credit is how can somebody lend you money if they don't know you and if you have no history of paying them back? How are they going to trust you? It's like going up to a stranger and asking them to borrow money. Well, there are 3 ways of doing this and making it a lot easier. One way of doing this is by opening a checking and savings account with a banking institution and having all of your money flowing through those accounts. Sure, this doesn't build your credit, but what it does is it establishes a relationship with these institutions and shows that you're a reliable person. But again, you want to make sure that you are a reliable person and that you're not letting your accounts go negative and that you're actually storing money in these accounts. By doing this, you will have a higher chance of getting approved for a beginner card from your bank. The second way of doing this, and this is by far the easiest way, is having somebody in your family adding you to one or more of their credit cards as an authorized user. So by doing this, you will instantly have all of their history passing down to you. So if they have really good credit history, you will get all of that credit history. But if they have bad credit history, well, you guys know what's gonna happen. So make sure that that person is responsible and pays all of their credit cards on time. The third way of building your credit is by getting a secured credit card. A secure credit card is a credit card that uses your money as collateral in order to build your credit. Usually, most of the time, you will get approved for these cards regardless of what your relationship is with that institution. This is because before opening that card, you have to deposit a certain amount of money even before you use it. So let's say that you deposit $250 onto that card. Your credit limit will be $250. You won't be able to use more unless you deposit more money. But again, guys, $250 should be enough to get you started on your credit journey. Now, here's a bonus and a sort of new way of building your credit, which is by using a credit building service or card. This kind of functions the same way as using a secured credit card, but most of the time you're using an account. Take the Chime Credit Builder for example. In order to use that credit builder, you have to deposit your money into that account first and then use it to pay your bills. Once you do use the money in that account, it will transfer money directly from your checkings to pay that account off. And by doing this, it reports all of your on-time payments to the credit bureaus. Now, in order for you guys to start building credit, you do have to use the credit card, and then you have to pay it off before the end of your bill cycle. One good tip of building your credit is putting a subscription on your credit card like Netflix, and then paying it off right away because it's going to be something you use and pay for regardlessly. I recommend not using more than 10% of your credit limit because the higher you go, the higher your utilization ratio is going to go up. This is one of the factors that the bureaus look at when determining your credit score. The lower that factor is, the lower risk you're going to be to them, and the higher that is, the higher risk you are going to be. So by paying your bill on time and not going over 10% of your total credit limit, you're contributing to two factors of what your overall credit score is made up of, which is your payment history and your utilization ratio. Remember guys, your credit is a tool, but it can also really set you back in your financial journey. So make sure to use it wisely, but this is a whole other topic for another video. By the way guys, if you're liking my video, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe. Now let's take a deep dive and look at all the parts that make up your credit score. 35% of your credit score is made up of your payment history, and this is the biggest chunk, so always make sure to pay your card on time. 30% of your credit is made up of your utilization ratio. This is the amount that are owed overall on your card. Let's say your credit limit is $100 and you are owed $10. Your utilization ratio is 10%, which is right where you want to be at. Make sure you do not go over 30% because then the bank starts looking at you like a risk. The reason is because the higher ratio, the harder time you will have paying your cards back. 15% of your credit is made up of your credit length history. This is the length of time that you will have your cards opened and divided by the number of cards. The longer you have your credit cards opened, the higher your score will be. This is because the banks see you as a responsible person. Also make sure to never close any of your credit cards because this can really hurt your credit score, especially if the cards has a long credit history on it. 10% of your credit is made up of your inquiries. Every time you open a new line of credit, a hard inquiry is made to your credit. This doesn't hurt your credit too much, but having one after the other can. You also want to avoid opening up too many credit cards or applying for loans if you're applying for a home loan because the bank can view this as suspicious activity and they can use this reason to not approve you. These inquiries usually fall off after a couple of years, so it's nothing to really break a sweat about. The last 10% of your credit is made up of your credit mix. This is the number of accounts that you have opened, and the more the merrier. You always want to open credit cards whenever convenient, not to use all of them, but because this adds to your credit mix and raises your utilization ratio. This can also be a home, car, or a personal loan. So now, what's my take on building credit? I know a lot of people point to the Discover It credit card as one of the best cards to start off to build your credit. But me personally, I prefer the Capital One secured card. And
hold up.
Let me explain myself. You can set up a bank account through Capital One. They have physical locations and have an awesome high-yielding savings account. You then have a relationship built already with them, but I would still go the secured route and get the secured credit card. See what I did there? Now, I do believe after some time of making on-time payments on your secured credit card, Capital One will actually offer you their platinum credit card. The great thing about that card is they will actually raise your limit after some time that you've made on-time payments. Once you get to that point, then you can apply for the Quicksilver. After you use that sometime, then you can apply for the Saver. And after using that sometime and making on-time payments on all those cards, you can apply for the almighty Venture X. All of this can literally be done in 1 year if you do all of these steps right. Your credit will also look very good if you follow all of my tips, and it should be anywhere from a 680 to a 740. That is unless you guys use a cheat code and get somebody with sick credit to add you to their account as an authorized user. But that's not the case for everyone. I get it. By the way, guys, if you guys are building your credit, what I'm gonna do is link a video that I created on 5 of the best credit cards for no credit or bad credit. So make sure to click on that video and watch it next.